What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of No Client Agent Privilege, aka No Cap Podcast. Your boy Evan, your boy Will. We are back in the office in the LSC HQ, and Will, of course, is back in the NJ, hanging out. Is the weather getting at least a little warmer up there, comparable to where you were born, where you were at?
It's been warm. It's been warm.
All right.
80s this week, so.
All right. So you guys are right up there with us.
Heating up at the right time. We got NBA playoffs starting up. We had two play-in matchups last night between the Hornets and the Heat, as well as the Suns and the Blazers. Blazers moving on to play the Spurs.
Yep.
Hornets are going to move on to play the winner of Magic, or the loser, I should say, of Magic Sixers. And then as we speak, we have who's squaring off right now? Magic Sixers, right? Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah.
And then we also have the Clippers and the Warriors tonight. I think that the elephant in the room that we need to address from last night's game is the play that took Bam Adebayo out of the game. I know as a Heat fan, as you are, I guess you're also a Hornets fan too, being from Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both.
What's going on through your mind if you have any feelings towards that play?
I mean, in reality, during the play itself, like as it happened, what is it that you call? Like, did you actually see that? Like, do you give Melo the boot for that? Like, yeah, it was like it looks intentional. So like, I don't know. Like I saw it and I look back on it and I'm just like, yeah, that's like a flagrant foul. Double. I mean, I was so I don't think I've ever seen that in like forever. I haven't seen that play and like a play like that. So, yeah, like literally so intentional towards what could hurt somebody. Like that's really what it was. It's not like, oh yeah, I just like elbowed him and I just caught him bad. Like that could have been a very, very bad injury. Depending on how he landed, stuff like that. So does Melo or should Melo have at least had a tech or a flake, whatever? Yeah, I agree. Like it should have been at least a flagrant one. It was kind of disheartening, honestly speaking, because that put Bam out of the game, and Melo kind of like shrugged it off as if it wasn't a big deal, or as if like the game wasn't on the line, or if it wasn't overtime or some shit. That's
absolutely.
I don't know.
I think that Eric Spoelstra came out in the post-game presser kind of talking about how there should be some sort of penalty, which I agree, especially if you're not going to do anything in the game. Like you said, I think you give the flagrant two, especially you see a player gets hurt, they're going to go to the monitor for that. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know if they went to the monitor or not, but if they did, they would have seen that it was intentional. Maybe they wanted to say it wasn't. I don't know necessarily. Like I said, I did not watch the game. I'll say that. But where do you kind of the thing for me is that there was a video that surfaced after that happened of Melo doing the same thing to Bam. Well, not the same thing. He was on the ground and kind of flared the arm out. I saw that. That was a game earlier this season. And I think if you put all those things together, that he needs to – the Heat are out. It sucks. There's nothing that the NBA is going to do about that. But you definitely need to suspend Melo, I think, for the next game or however long, but at least the next game if you are the NBA and are taking a serious look at the events that did occur in last night's game. So that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, I mean, as I have a Charlotte Hornets banner flag thing in my on my desk here, it's just kind of, again, like when you look at the play in action, do you really recognize what happened? Like did the ref, like it's like such a, I don't want to say unintentional because you can tell it's intentional, but it's like such an unrecognized movement that like would a ref had like actually looked at that for the play for that type of foul. It's like the ref probably wasn't even looking, other than for Bam's foot to be out of bounds, maybe.
Yeah.
So a suspension. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna
I
make
guess
it right,
like
if you're gonna
yeah,
make
if you want to put the issue of let's not do that again or let's not get comfortable getting away with that. Yeah, suspension. That's the only way to do it. Hey, you're gone the next game, Melo. Like that's
if it was supposed to be a flagrant 2 in the first place, which it should have and could have been, then if you're going to go back and take corrective action, then you're going to say we're going to assess the quote unquote flagrant 2 in the next game, and you're going to be out of the game.
right. That's basically where I would lean on a play like that, where we all now looking back, we see the intentional movement of the hand to under the foot to push, and obviously Bam being as big as he is, when a guy of that size lands on his ass, it's gonna hurt. Like it's gonna be. I mean, it knocked him out of the game. So I don't know. I mean, again, if we're gonna say that this is what has to be done to change I don't want to say change the rules, but like change the mindset of a player of Melo's caliber that has been caught. I don't want to say caught, but has been seen doing this kind of antics before. You make a case out of him, and obviously being in the playoffs, it'll make a bigger impact for the next guy who thinks they're going to get away with that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I would lean towards, hey, Melo, look, this is not your first video recorded evidence that this has happened before or something to this of your antics has done before. You're going to get the suspension. It is what it is, and that's just kind of how the NBA should handle it. I don't know if it's even under review as of right now. I don't remember hearing anything. At least nothing that I've seen.
By the time this video comes out, it'll be out whether or not he is getting penalized, because I think that they play again tomorrow.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, it's tomorrow. No, I'm sorry, it's Friday. They play on Friday. So this video will probably come out Friday. So we'll know by then, and we'll go from there. And our takes are where our takes stand.
Yeah.
As the play-in takes place as a whole, do you think that teams like the Heat, who have been in the play-in for the past, I think, like however long the play-in has been,
a few years now, yeah,
about five years or so. There's some teams that are just perpetually in the play-in, like the Heat, the Hawks, the Bulls were there. How do you feel about that in terms of where teams kind of lay their importance? Because if only 6 teams are guaranteed a spot, obviously maybe you could make the case for 6.5, because if you win that one play-in game, 7 versus 8, and you get in automatically. But do you feel like there needs to be a change? Do you enjoy it, or how do you feel?
I mean, I guess it depends on how you want to look at that last seed versus the play-in tournament itself. I guess I would say.
Do you think that maybe there should only be a play-in for the 8th spot?
That's what I think. Yeah, the 8th spot should be the only play. That's my perspective on it. Like, I think that last seed, if we want to keep it competitive in the nature, because for soccer and other sports they do
goals.
Well, different point differentials, but then they also do regulation, or not regulation. What's the word I'm looking for?
Relegation.
Relegation. Thank you. They do relegation. So
that's league to league, though. That's like dropping them, though.
But that's what I'm saying. If we're going to say that we're trying to keep the competitive edge like going on the playoff side, obviously we can't do G League because the teams are affiliated. But I feel like if we're going to compare like the playoff picture, like I'm like, other than that 8th spot, I don't believe there should be another reason to have another play. Like those 8 seeds, I don't think they should have the Battles team, let's just say 10, 11, and 12 for, 8 and 9. If we're saying that they're the same records, goal differential, however it is that we want to say it, I think those are the only teams that deserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly don't know why there even needs to be a second playing game to, I guess, give that team a chance to go on a run. I mean, it is the NBA. Like, anybody can beat anybody any given night. So,
The
I don't know.
Heat did do that. I think, well, what was it? I guess they were the 8th seed, right? And they lost.
Right.
They played that other game, then they won. And
right.
then they ended up going on that run to the finals. So
right. And that's kind of where I'm like, it is. I mean, again, I guess it depends on what kind of fan you are. I mean, I guess there are fans out there, and again, I guess you could look at it if it's your team, if it is the Heat, and they are just going on a run, like, of course, that's Heat culture, baby. We're grinders. We'll make it work. We'll get it done. We'll get to the playoffs, however it is that we got to do it, whether it's 3 games back, 4 games back with 5 games to go, we'll win those 3 out of the last 5. It's such a hard. It's like it depends on your team, really. Like I can't say like as a fan in general you want to get rid of it, because what if you just have like OKC for you? You guys just aren't the 1, 2, 3, 4 seeds. You're just having an off season, but you've got your core, and you end up being a 9th seed. All it takes is one good run, and you guys have the puzzle pieces, injuries, whatever it may be, to get right back in it. So do you really want to get rid of it if you're that hurt, or you just had a bumpy season?
I don't think from a business side it's here to stay. I don't think.
Of course, I agree with that. Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
It gives fans, kind of like you said, on the Heat side, and even if it is any team, it gives the fans a chance to root for something even more, especially if their team does make the playoffs, and it kind of gives a fair chance to those teams. Like, my thing is, the way I look at it is maybe only have the play-in if the teams are within a certain number of games of each other, which I guess if you do look at it from this year, those Eastern Conference teams, it came down to the last game where they were going to
literally, yeah.
So with that said, like, then this would be a perfect example, which could happen on a year-by-year basis, but maybe some years there doesn't need to be a play-in. Maybe the difference between the 8th seed and the 9th seed was so great that, like, it's five games difference. That doesn't really need to. But then I guess if you throw in injuries or unfortunate circumstances of the season, maybe they lost off 3 buzzer beaters that season or something, then it gets a little nuanced. But
you're gonna have excuses at the end of the year anyway.
Right.
Those teams
eliminates excuses, but it also kind of, I guess, invokes I don't want to say mediocrity, but it invokes like being allowed to like say like, oh, we're fighting for like 8th seed right now, and like that's cool. Like
that's been the real discussion.
We want to win that first game, and just move on, and then we'll be 7th seed, even though because that's a part of it too. You could come in as the 8th seed, beat the 7th seed, and then jump that spot to play. The second, end up playing against the 2nd seed in the first round, which could be cool. There's a lot of different implications, but it's here to stay from a business perspective, from a fan's perspective, and I think that's that. But I don't think there's anything we could really do to change it besides what we kind of said already, which was maybe just make it between 2 teams for the 8th seed.
Right. That would be the only thing I could think of. Again, I think you said it best. Like, business wise is not going anywhere. It is what it is. They made it this way because they want more games that are meaningful. So this is where they've come into the play-in tournament to give those other teams that have good fan bases, or they have a chance to get in, give them the opportunity. This is the mindset of not tanking. That is a whole nother discussion for another episode of the anti-tanking that Adam
Right.
Silvers and all them are trying to get rid of, which I don't really truly know how you even get rid of that. If a team really sucks, they're going to prove it, and they're going to take all the fines or whatever it is that you come up with. And obviously, if they already know they're looking to tank, what are you going to do? You're going to ban them for the playoffs, and then when they do win the lottery, like, do you take away their pick? Like, how severe are you really trying to get with that? That's a whole nother episode right there. But with regards to the playoffs,
Yeah. So I think that there are some really good matchups. I don't know. Obviously, the first round hasn't even started.
right.
So there's not really much to talk about there. Obviously, we'll circle back to it in future episodes. But what are your thoughts on San Antonio versus Portland? Do you think Portland's going to be able to do much of anything, or because I think that's actually more interesting than people might think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking 4-2 on that one. I think Portland will get one at home, and I think they'll get one, maybe in San Antonio. But I think for me at this point, I liked what I saw out of the Trailblazers. Trailblazers. Sorry, my tongue is all messed up.
Yeah.
But we truly haven't seen the Spurs in a dominant playoff fashion like we have this season. We haven't seen them dominate the way they have this year. So I'm interested to see how far and how well of a playoff team that they are. I want to see how far the Spurs can really push this, because I think the Trailblazers will give them a run for their money. I don't think they'll win, but I think at this point, between Danny and God, who's their point guard? Oh my God, he just traded from the Bucks. Oh, I can see his face, and it's eating me alive right now.
Drew Holiday?
Drew Holiday, thank you. And with Drew, and his experience in the playoffs, I think that will really help propel this young, very, very athletic Trailblazer team. I mean, they are scrappy, but like good basketball players too. Like usually those scrappy teams aren't like really the best shooters or best, field goals, but they can play ball. Like they are good basketball players. I think Portland had some bad spurts throughout the season, which is why they are in the playoff or the play-in general. But yeah, I mean, again, watching them kind of, play through the Suns last night, a very, offensively sound Suns team. I'm very interested to see how the Spurs handle it. I think obviously Wemby, how our team's gonna, Wemby I think has kind of figured out he's that dominant. So now what? Now who's stopping him? That's I think that's the real question at the end of the day from all playoff perspective is how are you gonna make him beat you, or are you going to make somebody else beat you?
Right.
Are you going to triple team? Are you going to triple team, double team? I truly, the Spurs could be something special these next few years.
Sure. They definitely will be. But the other interesting matchup, or one that I feel is interesting, is New York versus Atlanta, where obviously we've seen this matchup a couple times over the past I guess I'd say around 6 years or so, 5-6 years. Obviously,
basically
no Trae Young this time.
No Trae
fans to heckle, but I think with the way the Hawks closed out the season and the momentum that they're bringing, and obviously securing a playoff spot, and then they go to face New York. Like I just said, these two have that history. Different looking teams, obviously. Different looking teams.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that matchup and what it could bring on the Eastern side.
So I kind of agree with you with the way the Hawks ended the season. It was like, exactly they were hitting the right, the right speed at the right time. They were full cycle towards the end, and I think they kind of figured out their starting lineup towards the middle of the season after all the trades and all that. But I still look at the Knicks as kind of like, one of the teams to beat. I mean, coming out of the East, I truly look at Boston as, very dominant, but Detroit's the number one for a reason. And I think with the amount of experience the Knicks have had in the playoffs recently, I think that could be their advantage. I think that could be the reason they maybe do get Detroit in a 7-game series.
You don't have Tyrese Halliburton making crazy ass shots against you this year and packing you up.
Same with Trey though. Trey was making how many crazy shots was he making in the Garden to it's just we have those types of players, and that's kind of why they are the superstars of our leagues, because they were making plays like that. Obviously, trades, injuries, that all happens. So now what's going to be the Knicks' excuse this year if that is the case? What are we going to blame this year? Are we going to the Knicks curse? Like,
they don't have anything to blame other than the fact they're just not deep. They're
right. And is that going to be the excuse? Well, they were just deeper than us, or they had better. They had a bigger gas tank. What is it? What is it going to be this year? Are we really going to? Are we going to give them the benefit of that? I don't think so. If the Knicks don't win in 6, like, I don't know. That's on them. Like, I truly don't believe that Atlanta should take them more than 6 games. It might be a gentleman's sweep for the Knicks. I don't know why it should go more than 5 if the Knicks put it on them the way they should. Like,
absolutely.
That's just my mindset towards how the Knicks ended their season and getting ready for the playoffs. Atlanta was hot and had some spurts throughout the year. But again, for the Knicks, they should have no problem putting this away in 5. And at the very least, 6 would be. I don't know why they would let them get to 7. If they get to 7, then the Knicks are in trouble for the long haul. Like, if they make it out, they're going to be in trouble for Boston or Detroit. I forget how it lines up for them, but whoever they would play next, I can guarantee Detroit is going to gentleman sweep whoever, and Boston might sweep the first rounder of whoever, because they get the 7th seed, right? So they would get. Who would they get? They would get.
They're going to get the winner of Hornets. No, they're going to get the winner of tonight's game, Philly.
Of tonight's game, right?
Yeah.
So if they get either one of those, they will gentlemen sweep either one of them. So that's to say if they don't sweep them in general. So I mean, for me, I look at it at this point for the playoffs. Like, Knicks should be in 5. Detroit should be a gentleman sweep as well, and then Boston, as healthy as they are now, it should be a sweep with that 7th seed, because I think Boston's going to come out firing, and I think they're gonna want to put the injuries and the BS from last year that happened. They're on a revenge tour right now, so we'll see. I think my biggest factor in the East is right now. What do the Raptors do? Like, are they the team that went on that good run, or are they a team that kind of like buzzed out at the end of the year? Like,
I think Cleveland's got it.
You think Cleveland's got it?
I think Toronto has something cooking there, especially when you look at the last couple seasons they've had. But
right,
I think Cleveland started clicking at the right time as well with the addition of James Harden, and you add that playmaking ability, because Donovan Mitchell needed. I mean, you got rid of Darius Garland to acquire James Harden,
right?
Basically, and then you have his playmaking ability of James Harden's, which people forget. He was a great playmaker when he was with Houston. So having those 2 big men in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen is gonna, I think, serve them really well. I don't see the Toronto series being very tough for the Cavs, and I think the Cavs might give some other teams a run for their money as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm interested to see exactly what Toronto team shows up, because there were two sides of the coin this year. They were hot, and the offense was clicking. And then I remember I was watching some games and they couldn't even put the ball in the bucket, like other than Scotty just driving it down the lane. But in the sense of shooting purposes, they were having some real shooting issues throughout the year. But I think that's probably my most intriguing series out of the ones East and West right now, just because I can see both. I can see Cleveland sweeping Toronto, and I can also see Toronto taking them to 7 games. You know what I'm saying? Like I can see both. I can see both happening.
I agree.
No problem.
I agree for sure.
Whereas like guys, the other ones I kind of don't see. Like I don't see Atlanta taking the Knicks to 7. I don't see Boston from whoever, Philly or the Magic taking them to 7. Same with Detroit. I just don't see any of those going past 6. Whereas like the Cleveland, Detroit, or Cleveland, Toronto, I can see that one, making it to 7 because Scotty took over. Let's just say James Harden isn't the James Harden of the previous playoff runs. Whatever it may be. We truly haven't seen it happen. So now I'm interested to see what Harden shows up. What are we actually doing in this playoff run here? So
definitely some great stuff coming for the first round. I think that we kind of hit the nail on the head with everything. I think great takes from you. Cleveland, Toronto, something to watch out for. And then we kind of talked about those other 2 matchups between the Knicks, Hawks, as well as Spurs, Blazers. Obviously, the college men's basketball season or college basketball season is over. But I did want to dive into the transfer portal a little bit.
Yep.
Now that it's been open, it closes in a few days.
Yep.
I'm just going to come out and say kind of the first point that I wanted to talk about was that you have 2 weeks to put your name in the portal, but then you have almost what seems like a limitless amount of time to actually make a decision on where you're going to go, which is basically up until the time that you have to enroll for classes and become a student at that next university. You really have all that time. And I just don't think that is correct. I think that if you're going to give 2 weeks to put your name in the portal, then there needs to be a specific amount of time that's shorter than the amount of months that they get to find a new team. I don't think that it should be any other way.
So you're saying that the time in the portal should be as long as the time that you can put your name into the portal? Is that what you mean?
I'm saying that if you put your name in the portal,
right,
in the 2 week window, right?
That's right.
Then once the portal closes, you should have X amount of time to find a new team.
Well,
on that team.
That's the thing though, is when we talk portal and we say, the way you said it, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? The amount of kids that are in the same position, skill set, unless you're like the top tier guy that's, transferring, stuff like that, you might never play college basketball again. At least maybe not at the D1 level. You might have to go down to D2.
Right.
But I can't sit here and say that I have to give the time limit to that kid who teams might be looking at, but they might be also looking at the same other 6'4", 200-pound guards from 6 other schools. It's not his fault. He has to sit in the portal until they make a decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, it isn't really up to the kids once they've hit the portal. Now, when you're a kid that has leverage because you're a top tier transfer guy, that might be another story with regards to time frame and stuff like that. But you can't really put a timetable on the kid to get picked up when the timetable for the kid isn't available. or has to be decided from somebody else. Like say they've got 3 other kids, those 2 other kids take 2 weeks to decide. And now I was waiting on that school for those 2 kids. Now I have to wait, and now I ran out of time because I was waiting on that school and those 2 kids. So do
I
you really
hear
fault
you.
that 3rd kid? You
The
know?
perspective that I'm bringing this from is, especially from what I've heard in my daily line of work, is that from the fans' perspective, these people, alumni, donors, what have you, their main concern, and it happens with not every school loses their whole roster, but they have no idea who's going to be on the team next year. They don't know. They can't form connections with these kids. Like they can't, there's nothing to root for besides the namesake of the school, the mascot, what have you. I'm saying that for the sake of moving things along, getting your team ready for the next season, getting people excited. The transfer portal is here to stay. NIL is here to stay. There's no changing that. I'm not asking that to be changed. But for the sake of what college sports was meant to be, you can have both. You can have the NIL and the transfer portal. You can also have the culture still. I think we've talked about this before. I think that you need to have your ducks in a row in a little bit more of a timely fashion. That's just the way that I feel about it. You gotta let these fans know, hey, we're looking at these guys. We got these guys coming in. They're visiting, and yeah, maybe speed up the process a little bit. I hear what you're saying in terms of there are some guys that just don't get those types of looks, but to be honest, there's a lot of guys you'd be surprised that get looks, especially
Oh no, I
if
believe.
they're throwing their name in the portal and they try to use
Oh,
it as a leverage tool. And like I explain and I understand that sometimes they just use it as a way to see what they're worth and try to increase the amount of money that they get from the school they're currently at. And then they cut it.
right. Of
Like,
course, and that's part of the game and the business side. A lot of what you're talking about, though, and it'll come with some change on the backside. But again, you can't really fault the kids for the way that it's turned into with regards to the transfer portal. Like you were saying about how alumni and fan bases and this, that, and the other with regards to looking forward to the future for next season. But the thing is, if you're saying it towards timetable of those kids getting signed or leveraged to use their name in the transfer portal, whatever it may be, there isn't going to be a regulation towards that because you can't come back to the kid and say, hey, you haven't signed in time when you've only had the ability to talk to one school, go on one visit, whatever it may be, and then again, say like you said, the kid goes into transfer portal to use it to get leverage on the school. That's on the school to have negotiated that before he went into the portal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's part of the business. Like that's part of free agency as the pro level. You negotiate the year before they become a free agent. And if you can't get the deal done, then you become a free agent. That's the business model in which transfer portal has basically turned into these year-long contracts. And if you can't negotiate before, let's say March Madness ends or March Madness starts, like, hey, no matter what happens after March Madness, after our run, whatever, fan basis, I'm going to stay here. Now, again, with the transfer portal not starting until after the season, that's a whole other thing right there. So it's very complicated, and again, who to fault, how to change it, where to go about it. I mean, I've talked to some people who are like on the board or like the executive board of college that are gonna try to make these rules and stuff like that. And it's like there's still a lot to figure out on the transfer portal side. I mean, the basics of the 5 years, one transfer, that's all great and dandy, but until those go into effect, we are where we are because of non-compliance of the NCAA figuring out before we got to this point. So what to do, what to change, what to.
Last thing that I wanted to kind of come across with the transfer portal as we wrap up here
Yep.
is, do you think that there will come a time where a team puts a piece of paper down for a player to sign and they're like, you're giving us 2 years, you're giving us 3 years, 4 years. Otherwise, you don't get your money, or you lose a year of eligibility. Something will there be terms eventually? Will it continue to be 1 year? See how you like it. If not, we'll see you.
So yes, I believe there will be, but then so what's going to happen is I know those diehard college fan bases or the diehard college football fans, basketball fans, whatever. In the sense of the traditional side, you're going to go from the traditional college education, blah, 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 and we've kind of phased out of that already. But we're going to now go into the professional side of collective bargaining agreement, what the statutes are towards contracts, timeframes, terminations, money owed, money paid, guaranteed, how many years, are guaranteed, how many are not. It's all going to come to a head. Obviously, Coach Saban and a lot of those prestigious college football, college basketball, college-oriented people that are getting into the Congress movement of legal side of stuff, it's going to come to a head. It's just a matter of time now. But again, I think at this point, we're leaning in towards a non-student athlete anymore. Like the institutional side of everything is kind of phased out here in I'd say the next few years. Now you'll still play at the college. You'll probably still go to classes, but you're going to be signed and contracted as a employee of a university, which is basically where we've been heading in the whole time, the last few years now with NIL and things like that. And where most of my lawyer friends and legal teams have kind of hinted towards a college collective bargaining agreement, players association for college athletes. All of that is coming sooner rather than later. It probably should have been done years ago. Honestly speaking, we've talked about the NCAA multiple times, and with regards to where they are, where they should be, they'll be phased out here by 2035. There probably won't even be an NCAA. It's just the way it's going. It's going to be a non-necessity. The only thing that the NCAA is really living off of right now is the trademark copyrights of the NCAA March Madness tournament. Without that, the NCAA is probably already gone. So with that being said, the pro level to college is kind of already here. Now it's going to be how quickly does it turn completely into, like you asked, 2-year contracts, 1-year transfer, blah, blah, blah. How is it going to mesh from what traditional college fans want to the professional side of football, basketball contracts, and the holding accountability towards those that are contracted versus just transferring every year.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Nothing that I can do from these two desks. It's
nope.
Seeing what's happened, and we have some NBA playoff basketball to watch, so we'll get
that'll be interesting.
And we'll take it from here until next week.
We'll do draft talk next week and kind of take it from there.
Yep, absolutely.
So perfect. All right,
I'm good for now.
All right, same here. All right, so for another episode of No Client Agent Privilege, aka No Cap Podcast, your boy Will, your boy Evan. We will see you next time.
Peace.